We'll start with Howard. Go ahead, Howard.
Hi, Nicki. How are you?
I'm doing all right.
Question for you about pace specifically. Now, you guys obviously played an elevated pace, but the entire league did in a way that exceeded what the entire league was doing last year. And I'm just curious, are there things specific to Bradenton, specific to the way this season is going, that's leading to that happening that you see?
It may be fresher legs. I mean, you've got players that didn't just come off overseas contracts. I think everybody has been pretty careful about what we do and don't do in training camp, like wanting to get them in better shape at the same time, being cognizant of load management and not doing too much too fast. So, I mean, it could be a lot of things, but, I'm sure Washington feels like with their roster, they need to play fast. Not that they haven't in the past, but, so it's probably a combination of new coaches and new players in this league and youthful legs and just having that time off, I would guess.
And just as a follow-up, that's been the trend, obviously, in the league the last few years. Do you think there is a too fast? Do you think there's some point at which the league reaches a plateau or diminishing returns by getting faster and faster?
Well, I mean, I think it all depends on, it's always going to come back to, what is your efficiency, and what are those markers that you're looking at in terms of success? We're always looking at, points per possession is a big one for us, and we're always going to, we talked to our team even after the win about what our points per possession were when we touched the paint versus, we shot the ball obviously pretty well, but we still were almost at like 1.3 points per possession, which is pretty ridiculous when we touched the paint versus maybe like 0.75 when we didn't touch the paint, and kind of just continuing to explain what that means and why that's important to us. And not that there aren't certain plays and things that we run that don't require a paint touch to get a great shot. And so, we're not going to have them on all possessions, but, we want the majority of our possessions to touch the paint. So, is there a point where I think diminishing returns happen? If you're playing too fast and you get sloppy, then it's a problem. Our biggest problem against Dallas was turnovers in transition, where we'd have numbers. We might even have 2-on-1, and we were just too quick to give it up and too excited. But I'll take those because they were aggressive. Unfortunately, Dallas pretty much turned all of them into points. So, we really talked about what that means. We gave up 37 points off turnovers, basically, or in transition. And with the league average last year of around 16, if we just keep it at the league average, we would have won that game going away because Dallas did such a good job of making open threes when we made mistakes, with the ball in transition. So anyway, I mean, that was a long answer to that. I mean, I'm not sure we've reached it yet. I think it's all going to come down to how efficient are you, and are you deep enough? Can your team consistently, my biggest fear going into game one was with a lack of depth that we had, really going into game one. Could we play at the pace that we wanted to play for 40 minutes? And I think we answered the bell. Now, I will say, the fact that the score table was a disaster and we had, issues with whose fouls were on. And so with all the stoppages in play, honestly, that probably played to our advantage, even though it sometimes broke momentum. I'm not sure it didn't help, Elizabeth Williams, who played 34 minutes, or, Monique, or, the players that I really played a lot of minutes. It gave them a break.
Thanks, Nicki. Appreciate it.
Mm-hmm.
Bailey Johnson, go ahead.
Hi, Nicki. Obviously, y'all have the late game tomorrow night. I'm just wondering how that impacts your pregame routine and getting ready for that.
Yeah, I don't think the lateness of the game impacts our pregame as much as we're just not used to having games before ours. We're used to that 2-hour window where we're on the court at 2 hours and for individual shooting, and then at 90 minutes posts and at 75 guards, and we're stretching. And so it gets us out of pregame routine. I'm not sure that the late hour bothers me that much. I think we're pretty lucky that, we only have 3 of those this season. And, and there's no advantage for either team, obviously, with us all being here and all in the same time zone. So, I think it makes for a long day. It makes for a long buildup. But I think the tougher part is just, figuring out, okay, how much warm up are we actually going to get in on the court? What happens, if the game goes significantly late? I mean, our game was 2.5 hours the other night. So I just pray that doesn't happen for our guys, because then all of a sudden you're barely doing layup lines to get yourself ready and spending a lot of time like jumping around in the hallway. So, we'll hopefully get 60 good minutes, or at least 45 minutes, kind of work, because we're still going to do our pregame routine in terms of talking to the team. So that's the biggest complication, I think, is the timing.
Brandon Sudge, go ahead.
Hi, Coach. Hope you're well and everything. So can you hear me?
I can, yeah.
Okay. So as somebody who covers women's basketball on the college level and everything, and covers Georgia. So I had a couple of questions in terms of how you've attended games over there over the last couple of years and everything, and like, did that help you in scouting Kennedy Carter? Did that help you guys as an organization land her in any way? If you were at those games when she was in Athens, and then overall, like as a coach who covers that area, like, how do those games in Athens, how does that help you, like, scout and everything?
Yeah, it's obviously convenient. I mean, we knew it was going to be a priority, especially when we got into free agency. And, we certainly talked to Skylar's agent, and, just trying to figure out, we always felt like with the 4th pick in the draft that we were going to handle free agency first, and then figure out how we needed to fill in based on the draft. So, we were pretty, I went to see Satu play out in Oregon, and it's a lot easier to come to Athens to watch Kennedy Carter play than it is to fly to Portland to go watch Satu play. So yeah, it's convenient. Georgia's convenient, having Georgia Tech, having all the ACC schools come through Atlanta, having all the SEC schools typically at least over a 2-year period, because obviously the schedules aren't always balanced. But it makes it a lot easier. I always know that, with Darius isn't going to miss a home game, and, obviously gets to see a lot of the road games too, because he travels a lot with his wife and kids. So, we're just, we don't really miss Georgia games much. So yeah, it's, as much as anything, it's a convenient factor. Georgia Tech gets us the ACC, and Georgia gets us the SEC games.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Pepper Parsley, go ahead.
Hi, Coach. How are you doing?
I'm doing great. How are you?
I'm good, thank you. What have you worked on in practice to maintain your offensive flow against the Aces?
Yeah, I think, honestly, we worked more on defense today, but, some of the actions that Vegas runs are similar to actions that we run. So, the only real live action, we've hit the point where if you look at our schedule, and quite frankly, if you look at anybody's schedule, so ours isn't unique this way, but we don't have another 2-day prep until August 17th. So, when we start playing tomorrow, it's truly every other day. So we have to be really careful about how much live action we do from here on out. So, we're just doing a lot of shooting still, and all of our shooting is that we do is set driven, so it's very driven by the shots that our players are going to get in the offense. It's still predicated on spacing and movement. So, if they want to shoot standstill shots, they shoot those on their own, kind of after practice. So during practice, when we're doing live stuff, live shooting, they get actions within our offense. And then today we got great action in our continuity ball screen stuff, because Vegas runs it. So we were talking about how we wanted to defend them and played it 5 possessions live. And there's no doubt that we had good offensive flow, especially with that starting group today.
Last question, Zachary Diamond, go ahead.
Hey, Coach. My name is Zachary Diamond. I write for the blog Sportsman Venus. So Elizabeth Williams has an Instagram live series where she speaks with leading women in healthcare. I was wondering, why do you think healthcare is an important topic for Elizabeth?
Well, I mean, she's from a family of doctors. It's kind of, she's grown up that way. I think her ultimate goal was to go to medical school. I know that, when I first became an assistant in Connecticut, Connecticut traded her to Atlanta. I really hadn't taken the job when that trade happened yet, but kind of knew of it going down. And some of that was, fear of her not necessarily prioritizing basketball long term, which obviously has not been the case with her. And I'm certainly lucky to have her. But, there was always this perception that she might go right to medical school or play a couple years of basketball and go to medical school. And, but instead she just got super fit and has continued to become a better basketball player. But I think there's still a big part of her that, with her dad being a doctor and growing up in that world and having plans to potentially be in the medical field, that she's super aligned in that area. And, the whole empowering of women is important today. So I think it's a pretty logical connection there for her to do what she's doing.
Great. Thank you, Coach.
You're welcome.
All right, thanks, Coach.
All right.
Doing today?
Good, are you?
I'm great. Now, you have a long history of adapting after immigrating from England and playing at Duke, and now at Atlanta, now you're in Orlando. My question for you is, how does your ability to adapt give you a competitive edge over your opponent?
I feel like, I guess part of my personality is just someone who tries to adapt, I guess. Obviously being here at IMG, it's a different environment, but it's kind of cool that all the teams are here. So I think the people that are most successful are just, taking it all in and just happy to be here. So I'm just trying to do that.
Thank you.
Pepper Parsley, go ahead.
Hey, Elizabeth, how are you doing?
I'm doing great. How are you doing?
I'm doing good. I was wondering if you could talk about Kyrie Irving committing $1.5 million to players who opted out of this WNBA season.
Yeah, I think it's great. I think Kyrie has always supported the women's game. Even when he was at Duke, he was always at all the women's games. And he's been very vocal about it. And so it doesn't surprise me that he's done something like this. And I think he understands that for a lot of players, it was a tough decision to opt out, but it was necessary for some, and I'm glad that he wants to support them.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Thanks, Pepper. Brandon Davis, go ahead.
Good afternoon or good evening, Elizabeth. How are you today?
Doing well. How are you?
Doing well. I guess my question is, what were your takeaways from the way the league and the league handled the social justice campaign, especially for Breonna Taylor and others, over its first weekend? And then going forward, what else would you like to see happen?
Yeah, I think it was really powerful. I think we made a huge impact. Obviously, having the games on ESPN, on CBS Sports Network, like having that exposure made it even better. And I think it was important for the league to support these initiatives from day one in establishing this bubble season. And I think overall this first weekend was great, and we're going to continue to see this movement go forward.
All right, Zachary Diamond, go ahead.
Hi, Elizabeth. My name is Zachary Diamond. I'm from the blog Sportsman Venus. You had your live series, E-Talks with Docs, tonight. What motivated you to start this series, and what is the most interesting thing you've learned so far from the woman in healthcare you've spoken to?
Well, it kind of started during quarantine. I was talking to my agent a little bit about, content for one, for athletes, because a lot of our content comes from playing, and two, just content showing something that I'm interested in outside of basketball. And one of my friends she's in med school, and her sister is an anesthesiologist, and she was just talking about how she was dealing with COVID. And so just kind of the combination of creating content and having that relationship with her is how it started. And I think people are looking for more knowledge when it comes to COVID and just hearing different stories and different perspectives. And I think I've learned that throughout this whole pandemic, healthcare workers really appreciate the extra love and support that they've gotten, and it's motivated them, because obviously these times are unprecedented. And so I just want to continue to have these conversations with people in healthcare.
Awesome. Thank you so much.
Danny Thompson, go ahead.
Good afternoon, Elizabeth. Danny Thompson with 3-point conversion. Can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you.
All right, perfect. When you tomorrow you're going against Las Vegas, one of the teams with the better front lines in the entire league, Asia Wilson, Angel McCautry. What is Coach telling you to do to prepare yourself for a quick turnaround? Like I said, it's only been a quick turnaround, but what are you doing to prepare yourself for a matchup with some really, really good post players tomorrow?
Yeah, Vegas is always a tough matchup just because they're so effective in the paint. They do a great job of rebounding, of scoring consistently in the paint. And so for us, it's going to be our job to push them out of the paint, make them uncomfortable, make them hit contested shots, tough shots, and just congest. I think rebounding is going to be huge, limiting them to one shot and controlling the tempo of the game. I think those are big factors for us.
Thank you.
Bailey Johnson, go ahead.
Hi, Elizabeth. With the game tomorrow night being so late, how does that impact your game day routine? And I guess what's your plan to be ready to go that late at night?
I'll probably have to take a nap during the day just to have the extra energy at night. I mean, at the end of the day, both teams are dealing with the late time. It's not like Vegas is used to West Coast time either. So it's going to be an adjustment for everyone, but I think I will just, try my best to create a new routine for the late games.
And last question, Howard, go ahead.
Hi, Elizabeth. Howard Megdal here. Wanted to ask you specifically about pace. You guys were obviously playing at a faster pace than you have before, but even in 2018, you were significantly faster than you were in 2019. So specifically to you, I'm wondering how much better your looks are on a possession-by-possession basis playing with that much in transition, and just had a quick follow-up on it.
Yeah, I mean, pace is something we preach from day one of camp. Playing fast up and down, playing fast side to side. I think with the team that coach has built, pace is really important for us. And so, and you can see that we're more successful when we're playing fast. And so we're just going to try to continue to keep that going. And like you said, in 2018, that was something that helped us gain our momentum. So we're trying to get back to that.
And just from the point of view of the league, the entire league is playing faster so far this year. Wondering whether you think there's anything specific to the way the season's come about, whether it's the extra rest like Nicki was talking about, or anything else you're seeing that leads to the league as a whole trending in that direction.
Yeah, I'm sure the extra rest is part of it. We've talked about how a lot of us are usually coming straight from overseas and don't really have enough downtime before coming into the W. So now that people have that extra time, their bodies are a little better taken care of. So you'll probably see a little more pace, and obviously the excitement. We've been in a pandemic, so just the excitement of being back on the court. I think that's why another reason the pace is high.
Great, thanks a lot.
Yep.
All right, thanks, E. All right, if you have a question for Jaylyn Agnew, please raise your hand in the chat. We'll start with Danny Thompson. Go ahead, Danny.
Good afternoon, Jaylyn. Going into the Las Vegas game tomorrow night, how much film have you watched of Las Vegas? I know with the opening game, and what are you looking for yourself offensively to get yourself in the rhythm tomorrow night?
Yeah, so we got to scrimmage them actually last week, and so they didn't have Asia though when we did that, so we know they're gonna be a completely different team. But yeah, we just have to go in. We know they're gonna pound it inside and just kind of just go from there and try to stop them inside as much as we can. And then for me offensively, I would say I just need to shoot when I'm open. That's probably the biggest thing. I passed up a couple shots this last game, and so I just need to shoot when I'm open and hopefully can get my rhythm going then.
Shanice Eagles, go ahead.
Jaylyn, this is your first season. This is your rookie season. Kind of how is your body adjusting, on off days, and how are you recovering?
Yeah, it is different. Luckily, we have our trainer, and then our strength coach is actually a licensed massage therapist. So it's super helpful that they're both here with us. And so, yeah, just having, getting Normatec whenever you can, icing. Thankfully, my room's actually right by the ice maker in the hotel, so that's nice. And then, yeah, just being smart. The pool's open also at the hotel for pool recovery and workouts. So started using that this last week, and so especially those days, when we're gonna have 1 day in between, I think that's gonna be really important for us. So just use all the resources that I can, and with help from the vets, them kind of showing us the ropes on what's best for our bodies.
Awesome, Kaylani, thank you.
Pepper Parsley, go ahead.
Hi, Jaylyn. How are you doing?
I'm good. How are you?
I'm good. Thank you. Can you walk us through what you were feeling during your WNBA debut?
Yeah, I was definitely a little nervous, being out there for the first time. But yeah, I was excited to get out there and be able to contribute at some capacity. It wasn't that great, but just to be out there, try to help my team. It was super fun. I knew a ton of people were watching, from Creighton, from Wichita. So it was cool, and to be the first girl from Creighton to be in the WNBA and to actually check in to a game was super fun to be able to do that. So I was super grateful and just want to keep it rolling.
Thank you.
Yes, thanks.
Howard, go ahead.
Hi, Jaylyn. Howard Megdal with the Next. I want to talk to you about pace if I could. Out of 1,170 players in NCAA Division I last year, you ranked second in the entire country in points per possession in transition. So I'm hoping you to take me through, first of all, why it is you think your game plays so well there, and second of all, whether you think that plays to your advantage in a league that is playing faster and faster by the year.
Yeah, so we were in college, at least we were a motion-based team, and so we were moving nonstop. And so I think, especially in transition when we're already mixed up on the defensive end, teams would kind of be mixed up as we're heading down on our offensive end. And so I would get open looks, from the three or drives. And so I think our motion offense really helped that. And so it's obviously different here with more of a ball screen offensive league. And so, but I think, like E said, we're pushing pace a lot. And so whether that it's the person coming off the ball screen or the dump to the post or even the fill, all of those are great looks. And we've been getting we got a bunch of those already. And so kind of, pick your poison type of thing, I guess, for the defense this year. And then, yeah, since our league, obviously there's more rookies, more younger people than almost ever before, I think. I think pushing pace is going to definitely help, especially the league is sometimes, or at least most of the time, more of a bet-based league. So when you can run a little bit more and kind of get those bets a little tired, it's definitely going to be beneficial to you. And so I think and then with us not being pretty young, I think that's going to be one of our strongest skill sets would be to push pace.
Thanks, Jaylyn. Welcome to the league.
Thank you.
And last question, Danny Thompson, go ahead.
Jaylyn, with the opening weekend being dedicated to Breonna Taylor's Say Her Name movement, what were your thoughts and what was going through your mind as you were putting on the jerseys that have Breonna Taylor's name on it, wearing the shirts that say Her Name, and what the league has done so far as bringing this to light?
Yeah, it's amazing to have, everyone on board, from the top down, whether the commissioner, to us players. I think the, attention we brought to it has been astronomical, and it's so super important, right now. And like you said, just putting on the jersey with her name, as much as, it's my rookie season and it's super exciting, it's not about me at all. It's about, her and the hundreds of other women that have been murdered from police brutality. And so I think it's just super amazing that we're dedicating this season to it, and that we're getting so much attention already, and hopefully that attention can just keep getting bigger and bigger so that we can actually make action towards it.